Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. This is Ka, and I will be discussing how I came up with my character Dahlia. But first, I want to put a disclaimer. I'm sorry if I sound a little bit off. I'm recording this late in the night. I've had a long day, and I'm not going to explain too much about what's going on, but I'm just in preparation for a funeral service. So it may be why I may be slightly lacking in a bit of content, but besides the point, here I am, and let's get started. I have originally created Dahlia in late 2023 as just a bust illustration. If I have the photo or the illustration of her character, like her initial design, I'll put it up on the screen here. But I was heavily inspired at the time by like that new Spider-Verse movie that came out that year, like Across the Spider-Verse. I was very inspired by Hobie in his design, but also with like her hair. I was very inspired by an older thing. Like I used to play original Rock Band like on PlayStation when I was younger, and playing the girl character, I would always scroll through the hair what looks the most like black for me. And there was like this spiky afro I thought was so cool. So I took that inspiration for her character design as well. Even though I started off of like her basic design in late 2023, I didn't really start to expand much on her design until early 2025. And that was because I was trying to think, I've drawn a lot of different characters in my past, but I've never really expanded upon them. Let me try doing that for once. So I did that with Dahlia and tried to expand, like, oh, think, where does she come from? And all that type of stuff, like all the things I mentioned in my things I do to create my characters video, like something like that. I'm gonna put it in like somewhere around here. But I would try to think about her origin, where she comes from, why she looks like that, what she would dress like, how she would dress, etc. And then I came up with a full body render of her after I finished up her initial expression sheet. And in the beginning, I was thinking, what does she do, like as a person? And I originally came up with like, oh, maybe she's a mechanic and she works with like oil, which is like that black stuff coming from her eyes, and why she wears overalls and like has stains. But I'm like, she doesn't really seem like the mechanic type of gal, especially with like her hair, and the rest of her getup doesn't seem very mechanic like, I don't think. But I also tried thinking maybe she could be like an artist. And it's kind of incorporated in her final design too, because a lot of artists tend to wear overalls. I also gave her like a little belt, like almost like a tool belt. But it could also be used for like art supplies, I'd say. And I wanted to tweak a little bit with or tweak her abilities a little bit, sorry. And make sure that she could manipulate the black tears, or as I would like to think of now, black ink, to whatever she would like to create. I guess thinking about it now, it would be similar to like Raven's powers, like from Teen Titans. Like she can create like dark matter and shape it into something. It would kind of be similar to Dahlia. Like she could shape things with her ink and create whatever she needs, like weapons or like some stuff like that. But I did want her to also be able to use it artistically. So I also made some illustrations with her in it that had like her like graffiti tag like on buildings, because I wanted her to like have this thing where wherever she went, she would tag her name to let anybody else that lives in her world know that she was there. And at first, I did think Dahlia doesn't really have anyone to interact with in this world, because I just thought, like, again, she just seems like the type of person that would just be on her own. And that's why she cries a lot. She's filled with like that loneliness, if that makes more sense. Like she's very isolated. She doesn't have connection to anybody, and she just is trying to survive in this world of being alone. I even tried giving her, or tried thinking of giving her like a little backstory of like, oh, what about her family or like her parents? And it kind of expanded more on the world that I was thinking of. Like it would be post apocalyptic. So I would have something happen to her parents. It would probably relate to the plant life that takes over all like the big cityscapes and all the industrial type buildings and like all that type of stuff. I thought like, oh, maybe her parents either turned into plant food or they were possessed by like certain parasitic plants that can take over human bodies and make them their hosts, something like that. And because of this specific environment, it kind of like ties into my thoughts of her having like a supernatural ability to manipulate her tears, her black tears or ink, and make them into something else besides using them for like drawing or like marking and tagging places, if that would make sense. Like she has a mutation of her own to hold up against these mutant plants or like these like very dominating plants that try to take over anything living that prefers the like city life and doesn't really respect nature all that much. With her, I've also started to think if she lost her parents relatively young, how would she be able to communicate if she communicates at all because she doesn't have anyone to communicate with until probably later. Like if you've seen any of my other illustrations, she does come across one other person in like my head canon, but that would be later. But I was thinking since she hasn't really spent most of her life talking with anybody and practicing advanced language, I thought maybe she would know very limited English, like from what maybe her parents would have been trying to teach her before they passed. But I also wanted her to have that limited English, but have a deep understanding for like the plants and how they try to communicate with each other, how they all work together, like the mannerisms of how they move and like how they try to take over people, like all that type of stuff that she would know more of than like the English language. Like she can pick up the sounds of certain plants moving or the movements of certain plants more like to dictate like whether they're friendly, if they can spot her, or if they're ready to attack. Like that type of stuff I think would incorporate, or they would be things I would incorporate into her character more than focus on how she would speak. Or I guess to a degree I would think about how she would speak, but how much could she speak in terms of English? It would not be a lot. It'd probably be something like broken English or very few words, very limited vocabulary, very rudimentary, elementary, whatever you want to call it. That would probably be her way of speaking if she were to speak English. So, with all that backstory, I now bring you to this sheet here. Actually, I had an original expression sheet that I made of her in 2025. And at the time, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool because I didn't know how to really make the expressions make it look like the same person. So I was really tweaking with that. I was like, oh, this is cool. But as I've been trying to do a little bit more research in building my portfolio and what I would want to put in there and like how to show my diversity, I realized the expressions I had in my original sheet weren't really up to par with what I saw, what I would think people would want to see, and how diverse the expressions were. It wasn't really that diverse. And they weren't really pushed or super expressive, if I may add. They weren't very distinct in like how this character or how Dahlia would like react to certain things. Like they were very underwhelming, if that makes sense. So I started tweaking a few things like, yes, I have her basic like rest crying face. I guess you could say it's not really like a positive thing, but I would say like if she were crying, like not like bawling her eyes out, it would be her default, like the crying face. I do think that I was keeping a certain expression from the original sheet, which would probably be her like resting her face or smiling very subtly. I don't remember. I do know though that I added a few expressions that showed her teeth because in the original one I didn't show her teeth. And I wanted to just make a little character like trait as a part of her rather than like something that's important. I just thought it would be fun. I put a gap in between her teeth because typically I don't, but I feel like it would fit with her character, make her look a little quirky, and I think it works. So that's what I did, like with her disgust face. You can see a hint of her gap teeth when she's giving a full grin. I did put that too. And when she's crying, I had her open her mouth and cry because like I already have the closed mouth, like subtle cry face, like the rest crying face. But I wanted something a little bit more exaggerated than that. Like if something really tragic happened, how would her face look? And that's basically my thought process when trying to create that specific expression. For the other ones, like I really don't remember. I think I kept the simple like angry face, like the looking downward but also looking up, like the face is facing down but the eyes are looking up type of mad face. I did keep that because I feel like that's a little bit more accurate to like rage, because I don't like seeing simple rage from straight like the forward point of view, if that makes sense. I feel like you can feel a little bit more rage when someone is looking down, like their face is looking down, but the eyes are looking up at you. I feel like it feels more sinister than if they're just looking at you straight on, like mad dogging you. You know what I mean? But what I did tweak a little about these expressions is that I've added a little bit more of the vibration type colors to her hair depending on the emotion that she was displaying. For example, you may see in this video that I kept the angry face with a lot of pinks in her eyes as well as her hair, because for my interpretation, that would express more of like her anger. Like her anger was coming out into her different features. Like I answered in I think a short and like a TikTok a little while ago of why her hair had like those strands or like those lines around them. It's because her hair vibrates. It's just a side effect to her mutation is what I came up with. And so if it's vibrating a certain color, like more pink than blue, I decided that that would be when she's feeling anger. And same thing for when she's feeling sad. I've put a little bit more blue in there, and like I put it in her eyes and her hair, and I think I drooped a little bit of the sides of her hair as well. It might be hard to see, but I thought about doing that to make it seem like, oh, this is sad. Like blue will be whenever she's sad. There's more blue present when she's upset or in like a distressed state of mind. And so for the other expressions that don't dictate such strong negative emotions like that, I muted down the pinks and blues that were found in the vibrations in her hair because it's a little bit more of a neutral type of mood. Like the disgust face, like you're not necessarily like super like mad or sad or like super intense. Like yes, you can feel disgust to an intense degree, but for the face, I didn't think it was fitting. And same thing for like the smile. I did think about adding a new color, but then maybe it would have been a little bit too much because that color is not present in her neutral states either. So I was like, oh, I'll just keep that neutral. But that was just my thought process. But anyway, yeah, I did think about Dahlia as a person that could possibly be a part of a series. I'm not saying that I'm personally gonna make the series. I just like doing the characters. That's just how I am. But I am open to possibly opening up more ideas in the future regarding what else she can do, or if she will be part of a series, or if I could, network and talk to other people that can make that happen. Hey, maybe, but as of right now, this is just my character, and I was really trying to think of different ways to make her come to life more than just like a 3/4 view bust profile from a few years ago. But yeah, that will be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment if you have any questions regarding her as a character. I would love to answer them. I would like to get more depth on this character, or if you have any questions about any other characters that that I've created, you may have seen either on like my TikTok, and I now have Instagram, which I'll now include in like my bio and stuff in every video going forward. But yeah, if you have any questions, please leave comments. Don't forget to like, and I will see y'all in the next one. Take care.